I'd like to call this meeting to order, our regular meeting, April 15th, 2019. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Hopewell Valley Regional Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof communicated to the Hopewell Valley News, the Times, and the Trentonian on January 8th, 2019. This meeting notice was also sent to Comcast Cable and Verizon Fios. The board reserves the right to enter into executive session during all meetings of the Board of Education. The meeting is being videotaped for the purpose of board review, future reference, preparation of the minutes, and viewing on Comcast Channel 19, Verizon Fios Channel 32, and the school district website, www.hvrsd.org. Mr. Calavita, may I have a roll call, please?
Mr. DiDonato.
Present.
Ms. Lindhorst.
Here.
Ms. Long. Mr. Markulek. Ms. Murray.
Here.
Ms. O'Reilly. Mr. Sawicki.
Here.
Ms. Tracy.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Can we all rise for the flag salute, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like a motion, please, to approve the minutes of our work session, our special meeting, and our regular board meeting.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstain? Motion carries. Shabani, our highlight of our evening. May we have your report, please?
Sure. So, starting off with past events, CHS junior Sonia Michaluk became the grand prize winner at the Mercer Science and Engineering Fair. So, congratulations to her. And the HV Municipal Alliance, with guest speaker Kevin Schroth and a community panel, organized a meaningful information session about vaping, juuling, and e-cigarettes. Congratulations to the cast and crew of A Midsummer Night's Dream on their 11 nominations for the 2019 Montclair Theater Night Awards. Moving on to sports, junior Grace Hodemaker earned a spot on the All-CVC team in the 100 fly event for swimming. Congratulations to Milo De Los Santos on receiving the Jack Cryan Memorial Award. He was the 5th player in HV men's basketball history to receive the Cryan Award. HV boys tennis had 2 big winning matches against Princeton and Robbinsville, making their current record 4-1. Boys lacrosse had a great win against West Windsor Plainsboro North with the final score of 14-0. Girls softball got their first win of the season against West Windsor Plainsboro North 8-6. And HV Golf's start of the season had a 177-190 win against Robbinsville. Girls lacrosse had 2 great wins against Heightstown and Huntsville in the season so far. And HV boys volleyball has made great wins so far this season with a current record of 5-2. In regards to upcoming events, AP testing will begin at the start of May. Junior prom will be held Friday, May 3rd. The spring fling will also be held Friday, May 17th. And the unified team will be going to Canada to compete for the first time at the World Games on May 13th. NJSLA, which is formerly known as Park, will be administered the upcoming month, May 17th, and the Global Diversity Assembly will be held May 31st, and we have a special guest speaker, Eric LeGrand, who will speak about adversity and diversity in disabilities. Finally, moving on to student projects / current events, focus groups have started at the high school, and these are targeting specific demographics for the student population. And Dhruv Kapadia and Rehan Yadav sent out a survey regarding student diversity in Hopewell Valley. And this survey is basically gathering data related to racial and religious prejudice, asking questions related to those topics. And what Ms. Smith's student group is going to do with that is just utilize this data to discuss what are the issues that need to be discussed and addressed among the Hopewell student body. And lastly, I just wanted to announce my college decision. I will be attending Rutgers School of Pharmacy this fall.
Congratulations, Shivani. Does anybody have any questions for her? As usual, it's thorough and exciting news. Thank you so much, Shivani, and congratulations.
Just for the board, the two students that you mentioned were the same young men who presented to the board regarding our calendar and they're continuing their work. Have you been involved in any of the focus groups? Have you gotten any feedback?
Are you talking about Ms. Smith's?
No, well, the other ones, the ones where we have Dr. Rich coming in and meeting with students.
Not Miss Rich, but I was actually part of this other student group that one of the guidance counselors, Ms. Hong, held. And this was a very specific group. It was upperclassmen, second generation Asian American women.
Wow.
So it was just a small group of girls, and it was really, I'm not a part of it anymore just because of scheduling reasons, but it was really nice to just get to talk to the girls about certain topics that a lot of the student body doesn't necessarily relate to. So it was just nice to get to talk to them and hear their opinions and experiences.
And I think her husband went to the Rutgers School of Pharmacy.
Oh, really? I
think
didn't
so.
know that.
Fun fact. Maybe you could have a group just for that. Rutgers School of Pharmacy.
Very small group.
Yes.
Wonderful. So next up on our agenda, another highlight for our evening, recognition of two of our staff members. I will turn this over to Dr. Smith.
Great, and I get to turn it over to folks. But first, let me just say, we try to recognize a student group at every board meeting, but also we try to recognize staff members. And the two staff members you're going to meet this evening have really set themselves apart from their colleagues. And I'll leave their presenters to share exactly what their awards are. But just to say thank you for all you do for the students of Hopewell Valley, and congratulations on both of your awards. They're well deserved. And without further ado, you want to go first, Ms. Lennon, since you're Jane Ellen Lennon, the principal of the Tollgate School, with Ms. Suzanne Horsley, who is the teacher at Tollgate.
Good evening, Dr. Smith, President Murray, members of the board, and fellow colleagues. It is my pleasure to honor Suzanne Horsley as the New Jersey Elementary Teacher of the Year Award winner for physical education. Mrs. Horsley is in her 15th year as elementary physical education teacher in Hopewell Valley. Before teaching in Hopewell Valley, she was a teacher at the University of Liggett School in Michigan and Stewart Country Day School in Princeton. She received a Bachelor's of Science degree in kinesiology and religion from the College of William & Mary, where she played both field hockey and lacrosse for their Division I teams. She has a master's of education degree with an emphasis in outdoor education from the University of Akron in Ohio. She has worked creatively in a variety of ways to encourage and support our teachers and students in fields of wellness, sport, and character development. She recognizes the importance of building self-esteem and does so by working with her students to create a safe learning space. Mrs. Horsley is knowledgeable, professional, and committed to doing all that she can to support her students. She exhibits an enthusiasm for learning and a genuine desire to develop her professional skills that are commendable. Mrs. Horsley takes advantage of every opportunity to grow as an educator. Not only does she implement her knowledge in her classroom, but she actively shares her expertise with her colleagues. Mrs. Horsley is often an informal teacher leader within our district and actively seeks out opportunities to learn inventive and innovative approaches at conferences, workshops, and seminars. Among her colleagues, Mrs. Horsley is viewed as an innovator implementing the best teaching practices. Mrs. Horsley frequently assists to support a variety of school-wide and district initiatives. Recently, when the district adopted the blended learning district goal, Mrs. Horsley volunteered for that and became one of the first year one cohort group leaders. She is a leader among that, and often the Highlander group referred to her as a model teacher. She integrated technology in all ways of her gym. She uses effective teaching strategies like flipped classroom, Socratic seminars, and leveling up. I am in awe every time I visit her gym. Most importantly, Mrs. Horsley has a compassionate and ethical educator who wants to do what's best for children. Her annual field day event involves her students in all facets of planning, preparation, and implementation. Tollgate is excited to hear about how these fifth graders are going to be working. They've been working since September, and every day Suzanne is telling me about the new things that the students are doing, closing the street, getting the police to come. It's very exciting. We are so happy to have her here at Tollgate, and she has been instrumental in a newly established Gator groups that focus on bringing together our K-5 students in family groups and further our mission of the district. It is always the highlight of my day when I can walk by the gym and join in a dance party warm-up. Please join me in congratulating Mrs. Horsley.
Okay, you walk around and you walk around and shake everybody.
Let's go to the receiving line. Suzanne comes with her own paparazzi, too. We have 4 cameras in the audience. What? Very nice. Congratulations. And there also was a statewide celebration that you had, correct? You had an evening presentation. So oh, very nice. Excellent. Congratulations. Well deserved. Thank you. Next up, Mr. Doug Brower to introduce our next staff member who deserves special recognition.
Good evening, Dr. Smith, Ms. Murray, board, distinguished guests. I have the pleasure of presenting to you Ms. Leah Hopkins-White and to speak to a special award that she has recently won. And we're all very proud of her. At a very special event at the Mercer Oaks Golf Club back in February 23rd, the Professional Engineers Society of Mercer County recognized Hopewell Valley Central High School Practical Arts and Engineering teacher Leah Hopkins-White as their 2019 STEM Teacher of the Year. This recognition was based on her dedication to advance interest in engineering among her high school students, and especially young women. With 4 years of teaching in our Project Lead the Way engineering program at the high school, Leah has excelled. PLTW is about empowering students to step into the role of an engineer, adopt a problem-solving mindset, and make the leap from dreamers to doers. Leah engages students in compelling, real-world challenges that help them become better collaborators and better thinkers. Students take from their courses in-demand knowledge and skills they will use in the rest of their high school career and for the rest of their lives, no matter what career path they may take. Leah simply wows me when I see her in her classes with her students. Lessons are hands-on, and projects are engaging and different for each group and individual. Students investigate and collaborate, communicate and create. They are excited and engaged. I walked into her Principles of Engineering class for an informal visit last fall and found her students working on mathematical equations and formulas to calculate stress thresholds of the bridges they were designing and actually building. Absolutely blew me away. Not just the math component, but how Leah sets up her students for success at all times. A lot is being said about the recruiting of females into the field of engineering today. I'd like to formally say thank you to Leah for being a mentor and a role model for our female students. Engineering is a field, a wide open field for everyone, including females. Leah, congratulations on receiving the STEM Teacher of the Year award. It is, without a doubt, well-deserved. And I'd like to, while I ask Leah to join me up here at the podium, I'd like to just read the certificate of award. It says, Leah White, Hopewell Valley Central High School, 2019 STEM Teacher of the Year, recognized by the Professional Engineers Society of Mercer County for her dedication to advance interest in engineering among high school students and especially young women through her Femineers program. Congratulations from the Hopewell Valley School District, April 2019 Leah?
Thank you so much for all you do every day, and I've been blessed that my children have had both of you, and I'm really excited about your awards. Thank you. I just wanted to make a short report to update you on our negotiations with the Teachers Association. Both the board and the HVEA received the fact-finding report late in the day on this past Friday. Both sides are in the process of reviewing the report and plan on meeting sometime later this week to discuss the findings. Just in time. I will now turn this over to Dr. Smith.
All righty. Thank you, everyone. Congratulations again to our teacher recipients. So nice. Thank you, Leah and Ms. Horsley. But if I can just say two things before we transition into the riveting budget discussion, which I'll just do a brief overview, but you're more than welcome to stay for the entirety of it. But, you know, both of them really transcend their jobs into something very special. You know, when you, Jane Ellen alluded to it, but when you walk into the gym when there was Bear Tavern and we were painting murals on the rock climbing wall, and I was like, why are we doing this? And they're like, Miss Horsley's taking care of it, don't worry about it. But it just really connecting. It was really something special it transcends PE into the entire wellness component is what we look for. So thank you for that, because what you're doing is really something special. And I think since you're new to Tollgate, the Tollgate parents are seeing that now. It's really tremendous. And Leah, we knew you when you just started, and now you are the STEM Teacher of the Year. So thank you for all of that. It's really, you know, you made a difference in our STEM program in PLTW at the high school, and I'm glad you were a recipient of this award, because I think it's well deserved, and all your work that you do at the high school. And particularly, you know, I think when the board read about the club that was starting, the Femineers, they were all over it, and it's really doing something special to try to engage more young women into the field of STEM. So thank you for all of it. Very well deserved presentations, awards. So with that, I'm going to transition so the board will review the final budget at our meeting on May 6th, but I thought that I would take an opportunity just to kind of give an update on the budget that's riveting. I have audio-visual presentations.
I'm glad they got the clue, otherwise I don't have to stop you. Thank you.
Shabani, you too?
Can I come with you?
You get into college and it's all
Oh,
over.
I didn't say that.
That's all right, I'll let the room clear out for a little bit.
No, you must stay, Peter.
Grace is here. Hi. Grace, are you official yet as president? Or?
Yes.
Well, those as Hopewell Valley works to complete our takeover of Mercer County. Bob, do you still serve as president?
Yes.
Bob is president of the business administrators of Mercer County. I am the president of the superintendents of Mercer County. And Grace has been newly anointed as the president of the Mercer County Education Association. So congratulations on that, Grace.
Thank you for a complete. Tom Quinn is president of the directors of facility.
Oh, really? That's so. As we,
I'm the only odd man out here.
that says we complete our takeover. We've done our time in the board. Lisa spent a lot of time in doing that. So
Sorry.
I'm sure if you want to take that on,
Just put up in a humor, whatever.
at least in my role, it's not a position that you you lobby for. It's one that is you're destined for, I guess. Okay, so I'm just going to give a brief overview of the budget. I'm more than happy to answer any questions as we work through this. Following our budget timeline, you see where we are. I've shared this before. We start our budget work in earnest in January. We work through that. In April, our discussion continues. The board approved the preliminary budget for presentation or submission to the county. The final budget, the board will be asked to vote on May 6th. In between that, we had a board retreat just last week to discuss this. I know Finance and Facilities will be reviewing the budget again. And, you know, something again I just really want to focus on with this is, why do we create a budget? Why are we here? Are really, more than anything, we're here for our students. We have a mission statement that we try to live by and support, and we develop a budget that does our best to support all of those tenets in our mission statement. And we actually also have it in the back of this room and the room upstairs in our curriculum center. Just as we have meetings with staff and with board and the community, it's a constant reminder for all of us that this is why we are here and this is where we are going for our students. Moving forward, and some of the return on your investment, here is our accolades, and I go through this at every meeting, so I won't bore you with all of this, but these are things, again, that we are proud of, that we continue to improve by these objective metrics, but more importantly, we work hard to develop the whole child. And specifically, kind of moving forward to that, if you look at our commitment to the whole child, and providing programs, our innovative counseling programs are dedicated to practical skills development. As Mr. Brower's here and talked a little bit about our newly refurbished engineering lab, which is amazing. Our academics, we've moved into an inquiry-based instructional model. We have provided more opportunities for students to take upper level classes. We have excellent class sizes. Our arts and athletics, you know, we are constantly recognized as an athletic powerhouse and an arts powerhouse, quite frankly. And if you've had an opportunity to see the high school play, Chicago, I mean, it really is second to none. Our students are talented and they're guided by really strong staff members. Finance and Facilities, we're finishing up our referendum projects. They will be completed under budget. We have been acknowledged by Sustainable Jersey for our green efforts. 4 of our schools have received that certification, and we're awaiting the last 2 schools. Hopefully they will be recognized this year. And Bob has been recognized for 7 years, Bob? As recognized for their budgeting and accounting practices by ASBO. And this all comes with accolades. Number 16 district in the state of New Jersey by the niche rating group. The high school is ranked number 16 by New Jersey Monthly, number 26 in terms of our SAT scores statewide. And I would like to acknowledge a couple things. When I talk about this stuff, yes, we have a focus on academics. We partner that with a whole child approach, but some schools, when they want to boost SAT scores, they put in an SAT prep class that's almost a requirement for students. We have not done that. We really just continue to improve our educational model, and the result has been improved test scores. And as a school district, we've been recognized by the Department of Education as a high-performing school district. Unfortunately, we did not pay our internet bill this month, but yeah. Getting Mr. Suzo. And things, again, you should be knowledgeable about is these are our district priorities. The board sets priorities every summer for the following school year, and we continue to improve and expand our emotional learning programs and training for our staff and students, improving our grading practices and student mastery of content, improving our district safety and security and communication, improving our district sustainability and greening efforts, and working to develop world-class facilities through our referendum. And that's something, if you haven't been to the high school, I strongly recommend that you walk through the doors of the high school, although you can't get too far because it's secured. but it really is something that we envisioned not only safe, it's accessible, but also really shares what a top high school in the state should really look like. So I think we should all be proud of that that school. So as we work through our budget, some thoughts to consider. When we build our budget, we really are working to build our budgets from not only this year, but into the future. You've heard this before. Our current budget expenditures were frozen on February 14th to generate some surplus. It doesn't generate a whole lot because we still have to pay folks. But as we pull back on PD and some of our other purchases that were slated for the second half of the school year, we've held back on those. Incoming enrollment has effectively stabilized. That is the students coming in. But I caution you to know that this year's graduating class at the high school is 297 students. This year's first grade or kindergarten class is about 225 students. So there is a delta. So we will continue, unless something happens, we will continue to see that enrollment shift. But as we'll talk about it, we will make adjustments in terms of our staffing to address this. Things, again, you should just be aware of. Health benefits remain volatile. That's a huge driver for our budget. The HVEA contractor is unsettled. However, I think you've heard there's some light at the end of the tunnel, hopefully. Minimum wage, if you're not aware, has increased, and that'll be something we'll need to address over the next several years because we do have about 150 hourly employees in the district. So the priorities of this budget, we're trying to develop a budget that stabilizes finances and prepares for the future. It maintains all our student programs and services and maintains reasonable class sizes. Again, I've shared this before, but we are a human services organization. We don't make widgets, we support kids, and we do that through excellent staff. So we have to pay them a competitive wage and we provide them benefits. This translates to about 75% of our total budget, and those increases for the last several years have been well over 2%, and that's something we need to deal with as a district. When 75% of your budget is increasing over 2%, something's got to give. Special education programs and services continue to increase. While we are held to a 2% cap, the private schools are not. Some of them have increased as much as 10 to 15% from year to year. That's why we've made a tremendous push to bring students back into district, which I would argue provides a better program closer to home. Maintaining our extra and co-curricular activities, maintenance and operations, transportation, ratables and state aid are also big drivers. This does not come without an impact. So you should be aware that this budget contains a reduction of 5 full-time teachers on the K-5 level. I'd like to say that these are all through attrition, but that is not accurate. We do have some people who will be, it will be a reduction in force. We'll have a reduction of 1 full-time teacher at the high school, a reduction of 1 administrative position this year, and reassignment of duties. We expected to expand our world language program, specifically in Chinese, by hiring a half a person this year. That is not going to occur. Undersubscribed classes at the high school will not run, and we were going to reduce our non-mandated summer hours by 50%. Drilling down a little bit, here are our projected class sizes, and I would like to call to your attention, and I've had some questions about class sizes. You need to also look at our student-teacher ratio, because very rarely do we have students who are in classes of 25 all day. They are pulled out for a variety of reasons. They have other adults who come in, so whether it's this, the students in the class or the student-teacher ratio, that is the homeroom class size. That decreases whether it's 25 at Bear Tavern in 5th grade or it's grade 3 at Bear Tavern. It is, you will rarely see a full class of students because there's a lot of kids who are going in and out. In specials, you might see that, but typically they're accompanied with a paraprofessional. So that's where you see that student-teacher ratio of 10 to 1, and that's something I think, in addition to class size, that we should be aware of, because that is very low. Something else you should just be aware of is our course reductions. This is a reality. We have eliminated courses in the past, but we are making a concerted effort to look at classes that have not run to what we argue is capacity, with under 15 students. On the left side are eliminated classes. They are electives, basically, or classes that you choose. We made a push several years ago to try to, when I first got here, there was concern about the quality of electives, and we made, through Ed program, a concerted effort to put more programs together that are academic, more electives, academically based electives. But you know, we also have to look at how many folks are taking these classes. So these are classes, as of right now, will be eliminated for next year. The proposed course reductions are singletons. They are, you know, low-level enrollment, and it's a tough position for us to look at when you have, you know, students who have gone through our system, and we're going into that next level of class, and for that not to be available to them, that's a tough call. It's a tough call, but when we look at kind of what we're dealing with all the way around, it's a necessary step at this point, and we will need to come back to this over the next couple of years as enrollment shifts at the high school, to address this further. But it's again, as a person who has two kids in a different high school in the area, you know, there's often they don't get classes they would like to have, or the next level classes. We have not had to experience that here, and you know, now we're at a point where we have to really shift some of our resources. And with that, so you know, you won't see a direct result this year of staffing, although we're reducing 1.5 staff members, one existing staff member and one that was expected for this year. But what it does do is allows us, which was raised in some other classes, our core courses are, you know, your language arts 1, which are heavily subscribed and are mandatory. This allows us to shift those a little bit more. So, you know, we moved from kind of nice to haves to the firmness of core classes. But as we go through some of our enrollment shifts, we will be looking at reductions at the high school moving forward also. So that's the kind of the areas of where we are at now. I want to refresh your memory about the budget timeline. We are now April 15th, kind of continuing discussion throughout this month of the budget, and our final budget hearing is May 6th. Happy to answer any questions or address any issues.
Okay. Dr. Smith, I had one question.
Yep.
If you go back to the course reductions
Yep.
slide, when we first saw this last week at
Yep.
the retreat, and we had some discussion about like Latin 3.
Correct,
and some
correct.
of those other things. Is the Latin 3 also run with a complementary honors Latin 3 course? Is there an honors complement to that?
So what we're looking at now is those interests. So if we're going to try to combine those, if that's the question.
That's
Yeah.
what I was getting
Yep.
toward.
Yep.
Okay. Excellent. So
I
that's
mean,
being
it's
explored as
it's being
where
explored,
we have
yeah.
low honors and
Correct.
and non-honors.
Exactly. That's trying to, because honors is kind of a delineation that we make. So we feel that we should be able to meet the teacher can differentiate between the two levels of
Great.
classes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? You'll have a more in-depth presentation at the May one, but I didn't want to go without just presenting at this point.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. We'll be opening public comment. Members of the public are invited to address the board on any matter for a maximum of 3 minutes during this portion of the meeting. You're asked to state your name, address, and municipality. In response to your comments, the Board of Education may respond or direct the superintendent to do so. The board may also opt to take the matter up at a future meeting so that the matter is researched by the district administration. Public comment is now open. Anyone?
Grace?
Okay. Seeing none, public comment is now closed. Thank you. Any items
Bless
of...
you.
Bless you. Any items of old business? Consent agenda. May I have a motion, please, to accept the consent agenda?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained? Motion carries. Mr. DiDonato, Finance and Facilities?
So all of my items are on consent for tonight. We did have a meeting with the entire committee in that we discussed, number one, we had the final bids for the media centers at TMS and CHS. From preliminary level, I think it's going to be levy construction at 1.16 million. So I think that's still what they're tightening up things and just finalizing things right now. We did discuss some of the items of the referendum that are beginning to close out and the lists that are being created as far as the points list. So we're looking forward to getting into the last piece of the referendum, which could very well go into next year.
It'll start in June.
Yeah, it'll start. We had a couple change orders come back. These are credits from some window installations at a couple different schools. These are credits that will get, put back into whatever other costs are associated with the referendum, et cetera. That's pretty much it.
Thank you, Mr. DiDonato. Personnel.
Can I get a motion to use my items, my personnel items? Thank you. You'll notice on the agenda tonight there are a few retirees, but I wanted to acknowledge one of our retirees, Neville Swaby. He has actually been with the district since 1987 in our maintenance department, and beyond his contributions in our maintenance department, he's also played a significant role with our band transportation, transporting their equipment to the festivals, the competitions that they go to, which I'm sure you can imagine is no small feat. And so his efforts are greatly appreciated by the district. I'd also like to welcome our new custodial supervisor, Adam Brown, to the district. He comes to us with supervisor experience from the Marlborough School District, and he will be joining us officially on May 16th. And we had also discussed a few updates to a couple of drafts of job descriptions for a classroom teacher and secretary. These copies will be going out to the rest of the board, probably in the green notes, so that everyone has a chance to take a look at them. And that's all I have.
Any comments or questions? Mr. Clevia, may I have a roll call, please?
Before I roll call, I'd like to congratulate Neville too on his retirement. Neville's the kind of guy who not only, as Ms. Tracy mentioned, volunteered to shuttle the band around for the last several years and stay all day at places, but he actually, he went inside and watched them and became a member of that team, and that's what he does around the district. Whenever something needs to be done, no matter how big or small, Neville's the guy to do it, and he does it with a smile on his face, and he does it without any hassle. And I know that there's times I've sent him back and forth to the DMV 3 or 4 times in a day because they didn't have the right document, and he would just laugh and say, "It's the DMV, what do you want?" But he could be always counted on in snow removal, in storms, emergencies, anything, and he was always there with a smile on. And he will be sorely missed by the whole district. But I wish him well in his retirement, and all those good things. So
Thank you.
just wanted to get that out there. Yeah, roll call. Ms. Linthorst.
Yes.
Ms. Long. Mr. Markulek.
Yes.
Ms. O'Reilly.
Yes.
Ms. Polara.
Yes.
Mr. Sawicki.
Yes.
Ms. Tracy.
Yes.
Mr. DiDonato.
Yes.
And Ms. Murray.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Ed program.
Well, we do one per team. We do one per team. Yes.
In the 8th grade next week, which is, I won't adjust it, so.
Well, we're changing the focus. It's evolved from what we used to bring in a group called Challenge Day back when Mr. Suzo was principal. I think you started Challenge Day. So we really have evolved it from Appropriate. what it originally was to being more focused on social emotional learning and how they can be better citizens and build a better community in their schools. So the work that we're going to be doing this year is going to be a little different. We're still going to team build and have a lot of fun, but we're going to dig into some of these tough topics. And how can they really make their school safe and welcoming for everyone? So we're going to have some tough conversations, but we'll have some fun too. But it'll be a little different from what we've done in the past. So I look forward to working with them. It'll be very close to what I did with the high school students with our day of dialogue, but it'll be more geared to some of the things that have come up with middle schoolers of late. It won't be dealing directly with some of the issues that they've had in their building.
And one other thing that I think we forgot to mention is that we did talk about other discussions about acting and our vocational school and the technical programs that are offered within the district and the so this really trying to stress that there are many options for
Thank you. Moving on. Anything for community relations?
Not really, we had a village work group meeting ago. We discussed the budget and what people were saying about it, and talking about community. And then we discussed the forming of the committee, going forward to look into changes for.
Thank you. Perfect. Policy.
Okay, can I get a motion to move the policies up for first reading? Okay, so what we have are policy and regulation 3160 for physical examination of teaching staff, as well as policy and regulation, I'm sorry, that was 3160. 4160 is for support staff. And basically, these are driven primarily by revisions in state statutes. I'll point out a couple things in the interest of being transparent. This is mainly geared towards defining the requirements of physical examination for potential people to come work in the district in positions where first we evaluate whether they can meet the requirements of the position with accommodations in accordance with the Americans with Disabilities Act. So that's good. But just also to note, two of the things that have been revised in here are, one, we're reserving the right to use an objective measure, i.e. a questionnaire, to determine, to assess workplace readiness. Okay, and that was, these things we had some discussion with in policy, and mainly we were thinking that it's important for us to be able to assess whether the staff member, candidate staff member, is fit for the position both physically and in terms of other considerations. But the other thing is also we are changing the wording to require testing for the usage of controlled dangerous substances. So that's now going to be a mandatory requirement. Okay. And if there's any part of those two that you choose to elaborate on, Tom.
First, I'd just like to thank the policy committee and specifically Adam and Deb for Deb signed on for that committee and has become a policy wonk, which was what you were before, right? But Adam, thank you because something, again, I've said it before, but these are the policies. Policy, the board is a governing body that develops policies. And when you develop a policy, there is a difference between shall and may. So that's something, our policy committee has been very good at having that discussion. And thank you for Adam for his work and trying to make sure that we hash all these out. The other thing is this is all pre-employment, so what we are trying to do is continuing to make sure that we have the best possible candidates coming into the district, and looking at some of our colleagues are moving towards like an objective measure as part of the hiring process, as was mentioned, a questionnaire or survey or an online assessment that staff members would be, not so much content area, but more just flexibility and workplace readiness and things like that. And some of this we were already doing. For example, bus drivers have to have random, or have to, they're subject to actually random drug testing.
Mm-hmm.
Any new hire. So, nothing else to share, but thank you.
Any other comments, questions? So all those in favor for these first readings?
Aye.
Opposed, abstain? Motion carries.
Great. Can I get a motion to move the policies and regulations up for second reading?
So moved.
Second.
And here we have policy and regulation 7100 for long-range facility planning, which basically details new requirements for state statute for how we document needs for our long-range facilities planning and just long-range planning, upgrades, improvements, and so forth. So these we approved under first reading last month, and we've had no changes.
Okay, any comments, questions? All right, Mr. Calabi, may I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Long? Mr. Markulek? Ms. O'Reilly? Ms. Polaro? Mr. Sawicki?
Yes.
Ms. Tracy?
Yes.
Mr. DiDonato?
Yes.
Ms. Linthorst? Ms. Murray?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Board calendars.
Just for community relations, that's the same night as the call to action in Robbinsville at 7. Could we either move it up to 5 o'clock or end it like 6:15 or 6:20 so I can get to Robbinsville? Okay. 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 Great.
We're going to add the 18th for finance facilities. Extra one, 3:30.
Yes, yes, 3:30.
Thursday, the 18th. Shouldn't take long. Good. Yeah.
If you want to move those EdComs to 9.
Yeah, they're nasty.
In May. Yeah.
And what time?
You all want to do policy that on Monday at 8:30, or you want to do a Friday instead, or?
Tuesday and Wednesdays are very difficult.
Well, no.
I could do Mondays, yeah,
What, you can do Monday?
or Friday.
Debbie, would you want to do like Monday the 6th? Maybe do it at 8:30?
Yeah.
Does that work for you, Bob? What's that? 8:30 on the 6th? Yeah, for that's fine. policy? It's fine. I was looking at finance on the 6th, of course, now we make one of those. We could probably move the finance.
Policy on the 6th, 8:30, right?
Okay. Yeah, yep, yep.
Jenny, do you want to do community relations?
Good point. Yeah, good point, good point.
Do you want to do it the week of the 20th? May has a lot of Wednesdays.
I'm back on the
The way it falls.
yeah,
So, or you could do the Wednesday after Memorial Day.
we only have one meeting. But we also have,
Sure.
so what do you think?
Split
23rd,
two people.
We typically meet on Wednesdays, so I mean, we can do whatever you want. 22nd or 29th, you want to go before Memorial Day or after? It's in between.
Jeff, do you care?
I don't care. 22nd?
Get it
Okay.
over with?
I lived for this.
Now,
Liar.
5:30.
I do. My favorite all-time stuff is David Kuhn's.
We're so riveting, we cleared the room.
We'll be done by then.
Yeah.
Let's go into executive session.
All those in favor for board calendars? Anything else for the board calendars? So all those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose, abstain? Motion carries. Any items of new business? Public comment? There's really nobody there. Should I say it anyway? Members of the public are invited to address the board on any matter for a maximum of 3 minutes during this portion of the meeting. You're asked to state your name, address, and municipality. In response to your comments, the Board of Education may respond or direct the superintendent to do so. The board may also opt to take the matter up at a future meeting so that the matter is researched by the district administration. Public comment is now open. Seeing no one, public comment is now closed. I'd like a motion, please, to go into executive session to discuss harassment, intimidation, and bullying matters, a student matter, and potential litigation. And contract negotiations update. All those in favor?
Will there be a decision?
No action. anyway.
No action. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose, abstain? Motion carries. We're in executive session.